you to all those who have participated in making this happen, bringing forward the music and the reading and all of it. It's a joy to be with you, even though I'm only here on screen. I was really looking forward to my one more shot at being in Lexington, so I will come back at some point and visit just for the fun of it, and get to see some of you again, I'm sure. I was excited whenever I discovered that as we were talking in in reading the covenant a few minutes ago, the word possibilities kept showing up. And through interesting irony and synchronicity, we don't call them accidents, we call them synchronicities. CSL International, actually recommended today's talk title, which is Possibilities and Sacred Kinship. I think it's kind of ironic that the whole of CSL is talking about what is so poignant and pointed and really right here for all of us in this particular center. So I'm feeling that as support from for us by all of the other centers who are using this topic today. As I thought about this topic, I was thinking when I was a kid, I in my teenage years, I know it's hard to imagine that, but it's true. Um, I was a teenager, and so my teenage granddaughter says I still act like one sometime. I take that also as a high compliment. The Anyway, in those years, I was my summer job was helping my uncle in his plumbing business. Now that meant I was the kid digging the ditches and doing all the work that he didn't want to do. I didn't get to do any of the fun stuff like planning and whatever. I was just digging ditches and stuff. Hated it, didn't want to do it, but it paid better than anything else for a teenager at that point. Maybe because he was giving me a little extra, probably. So anyway, I would show up every day at work late. I would get there in the raggediest clothes that I had because that was just, you didn't want to dress up, dig ditches. And about I don't know, 5 or 6 days of that first summer, or that second summer, he said, what's up with you? You're always late and you're not dressed well and you're really not ready to go to work. You're tired. What's all that about? And I'm like, his name was Cecil. Well, Uncle Cecil, I'll tell you, this is just who I am. I am just this person that's always late and this just is tired and doesn't show up and do much. Well, he was not a gentle person. He grabbed me by the shirt collar and backed me up against a tree because I was almost as tall as he was at that point, and said, "Listen to me, young man. You can be whatever you choose to be. All the possibilities are there for you. If you even begin to tell me again you're stuck with who you are and where you are right now, I will not tolerate it. And it won't be just a tree I'll be backing you up against." I didn't know what that meant, but enough that it scared the bejesus out of me. And instead uh, of getting scared and angry and leaving, I realized then, and I realized even more as the years went by, that was one of the most important lessons I ever learned. Because the truth is, I'm never stuck with who I am. You are never stuck with who you are or where you are. And we're never stuck as a community in this same space of who we are, where we are. There is always the potential for possibilities, greater possibilities. And that's what's been exciting about being with you these 3 months is that you have seen that too. You've wrestled with being stuck. You've wrestled with feeling like you wanted to move ahead, but you didn't know where and how. And out of that wrestling and frustration and anger and upset and all those things that have come up for people these last few months has emerged a greater truth, a greater reality, a greater step forward for everyone involved. for you, for Reverend Sunshine. Yeah, you too, Reverend Sunshine. Reverend Rainbows and Sunshine. I mean, you guys have done some real interesting things with your ministers and your selection of ministers with these names. Anyway, sunshines and rainbows. Everybody's moving forward. I'm moving forward. I have grown and learned from having been here with you. You know, what we are doing here is creating newness, creating life the way you want it to be and imagine it to be, which is what we are all about. It's what we as human beings are here to do. We create our lives. We are handed life, and we're handed so much goodness. We get to choose what out of all of this possibilities we want to create for ourselves. And when we do that creating, we're not creating as some little individual thing off by ourselves, totally separate from the whole. We're creating within the whole. We're creating within this universal consciousness that we are one with, we are part of. So we're never alone. We have the power of the universe behind us, creating through us, as us. There's a lot of talk these days about co-creation. Well, there's some of my minister friends who've been around a lot longer than I have, who say we really don't co-create. We create because spirit itself is creating as us. It's not us and spirit, us and life, us and law. You can see my notes. Us and all that is. It is the us creating and using the power of spirit within us to do it. So it's not two things. It's just one thing. You are spirit. What else could you be made of? Think about it. Well, you say my body's made of stuff from the earth. Yeah, it is. Every physical part of your body comes from the earth, but it's animated by life. Life pulls it out of the earth and shapes it into you and me, and has done this over billions of years until we reach this point. Ain't that wonderful? So we don't have to stop now. We don't go backwards. I mean, we live in a world where there's a lot of back and forth for sure. So let me tell you a thing or two about creating. First of all, you do not get what you want. If you thought this was a teaching where you come in, you say, oh, I want this, and you get what you want, and then you go on about your way, or you keep coming back. Either way, you don't get what you want. There's no promise anywhere that says you get what you want. You get what you believe you deserve and what you are willing to become. You get what you're willing to become. That is probably one of the most important things to understand about creating your life according to your desires and creating this life, the life of this thing called Ahava. Yeah, Ahava, that one. Yeah. Hmm. And as I said, you're not alone. You have this whole process of creation that is within you that is activated as soon as you set for yourself an idea or a goal or a stretch towards something more. As soon as you set that more in your mind and start to believe in it, the more starts to happen. Spiritual law is something that governs the entirety of consciousness. And it always says yes to us. Yes, not to what we want, but what we believe we deserve. Yes, to what we really believe in. Hence, this sacred covenant that you're going to be looking at and reading over the next months that will help you develop a greater, stronger belief in it. Because as you build that belief in it, the reality of it will show up with people walking in the door, with what you become for the larger community, for how you influence and affect each other. It's a really powerful process, and it's all about coming to believe. One of the first things I learned when I got into this teaching that I thought was absolutely amazing is I can decide what to believe. There's not something printed somewhere on heavenly scrolls that I have to figure out. Well, what's the right thing to believe in order to get the God, spirit, life to respond to me? It's already doing that. It's doing it with everything I believe in. It's spiritual law goes to work. It says yes. So if I believe in dividedness and separation and upset, I'm going to experience that. Doesn't mean everybody else is, but I am. If I believe in love as the creative force of the universe, I believe in it with my heart and soul. Love is what I will experience wherever I am, regardless of who I'm with. And I will contagion other people with that love. And that's what this creation process is about. And that's what we're doing here. Ahava. Love is always present. You can't get rid of it. You can't go anywhere to get away from it. You might can surround yourself with a whole lot of ugliness and think you've escaped it. But even the ugliness is people doing what they love, which is creating chaos. Some people really do love to do that. I know you don't know any of those people or nobody listening to this call, but there's always a certain amount of that. So the second part of this whole thing of creating within this infinite consciousness, this oneness, is that we do one of the things that we do in that process is we make pledges and we look at possibilities. Yeah, you pledge to certain things, which is kind of like you remember at school when you did pledge allegiance to the flag. For those of you who grew up in this country, of the United States of America, blah 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 blah. I wasn't sure I could even remember it anymore, but I do because I did that day in and day out. It became a part of my belief system to believe in this country as a unified, united place and group. Wow, powerful stuff. So what are you pledging your allegiance to now? Allegiance simply means devotion or loyalty to a person, a group, or a cause. Because what you are pledging your allegiance to is what will also grow in your own consciousness, and you find yourself believing in. And we don't usually pledge for something we don't believe in. We might start out doing that, but you don't stay there. You pledge. Well, actually, one of the things that it will do is let me back up. Works a little bit like an affirmation. I affirm I am whole, perfect, and free. And what happens? The little brain says, if you were free, you'd be in Lexington right now, and there wouldn't be any snow on the ground. And if you were perfect, you wouldn't be a little chilly right now because it's cold in this basement, which is the best private place to be at my daughter's house right now. The yes buts. Anybody have those? Yeah, the yes buts start kicking in. So we go back and we affirm again and again and again until the yes buts just kind of run out and have no more energy anymore. And that's the same thing with pledging. I pledge my allegiance to the power of spirit to create in my life as my life. I pledge my allegiance to the goodness of life. I pledge my allegiance to the idea that there is a power that you are created out of the same energy and spirit that I am. Therefore, I recognize that you are an expression of God. Warts and all. So much easier to see other people's in it. So much more fun, too. Okay, I need a drink. Excuse me for a minute. This is water, I promise. All right. Now, allegiance. See, if you're pledging to this power, this idea of oneness that we're talking about, then you're kind of pledging your allegiance to all of creation. Not just people, all of creation. Because what else can it be made of except the one power that we all live in? I need my both hands, but that's okay. So this one power it takes shape and as the beautiful trees, as this amazing, in this case, ice-covered trees out here. That spirit taking shape and form. The Native Americans taught us this so well that the stuff of life and the beings within our world aren't just limited to people. It's animals, plants, all of creation, rocks. I have a whole collection of rocks that I named, and they're pretty awesome. I know where they came from. I have some from Peru. I have some from Bali. I have some from different, wherever I go, I find it, pick up a little rock. So I managed, except I do not do that in Hawaii because Pele is very, very clear about that. Do not take a piece of Hawaii with you or you will be in trouble. And I believe her. Pele is the goddess that's in charge of that part of the world. Anyway, so all of it is who we are. We are linked up, connected with every bit of it. And we have the freedom to just do and create according to what we pledge our allegiance to. So I'm inviting you. I read to you the covenant earlier, but as time goes by, read that carefully and decide if that can be your pledge to Ahava and to Lexington and to the greater world, because it has within it the power to set us all free, because it's our words that set us free, and it's the power of spirit that does that. And I'll close with one of my least favorite quotes from Ernest Holmes. He says, "We are powerful creators. We create our lives and the lives of the world we live in, the experiences, and our only limitation is our beliefs." Man, I wish it weren't so. I wish what I just thought of would happen, but it's our beliefs that limit us, and only that. So know yourself as limitless. We have a thing we do here when my son-in-law, or he kind of started it, but we try a new dish, a new food, and you say, what do you think? What does that taste like? That tastes like more, is the statement. Well, the goodness of life tastes like more. And I challenge you, I invite you to be more, to think more, and to use that, what now is almost like a cliche, but was very powerful when I first heard it. Be the change you want to see. Be the change. Because you got to be something. You might as well be the change, because you're not going to stop being, no matter what. And with that, I want to shift gears a little bit. And this is when you applaud, by the way. So thank you. I see you. I appreciate it. The I have some bittersweet news. Many of you already know, and that is that your minister, who has been on sabbatical through the generosity of this group, that you guys have provided that kind of a break for her and for yourselves while you were growing in your clarity of who you are and where you're going and what you want to become. And I think it is my duty to let you know, before she comes to speak to you for a few moments, that she has decided to move on. That Reverend Rainbow is, how do I say this? It just isn't a good fit anymore. She has grown, and you have helped her grow. You've been as a fodder for her growth as she has grown into a greater expression of herself and of those things that are so powerfully important to her. And she will be with you next week to do the talk, and you'll have that time with her. And I've had the joy. You've heard this before, those who've been around, but I knew Rainbow when she was a little kid, and have had kind of continued paying attention to sometimes connections and sometimes not, as she's grown into the amazing minister that she is now. And as I I feel honored to have been part of this process with her and with you and for her. And I'd like to just stop talking now and let Rainbow talk a little and share with you. Rainbow?
Yes, thank you. And let's just take another moment to love up on Dr. Bob for how he has stewarded the community during this time. Yes, you are the perfect person divinely appointed to be with Ahava, and just your grace and heart and love and deep presence and willingness to listen and hold it all and be that space of grace and growth for us. So thank you, Dr. Bob, for that. And I am so grateful for this time, these months off. There's been a lot of rest and listening to the voice of spirit, a lot of healing of past hurt and experience, and letting go of all the stories and resentments as much as I can. I'm not, it's a journey always. And being able to heal from, as you all know, the amounts of change and grief in my life over the past couple of years. And I feel renewed. And I want to share with you a little bit about what has been revealed, this new calling on my heart, which is probably going to seem so obvious and say, yeah, duh, rainbow, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer for that to kind of to hit. And I needed that space to heal and to rest, to be able to receive it and step into this new vision. So what is calling on my heart now is to bring these teachings, this philosophy, this faith, this community of science of mind to specifically the LGBTQ plus community. Um, so I'm going to be birthing a new focus ministry through CSL, and that is led by and centering queer folks. It will be both here in person in Lexington with gatherings and pop-up experiences and classes and workshops and creative expression and all the ooey gooey loveliness that you know to be me and my ministry and my way of expressing. And gathering folks also online and really having a global reach, and specifically to queer folks in rural areas that have no access to any kind of support or community or teaching like this. And there's so many ways of gathering folks online now, like we're doing right here. And this vision will include a podcast focusing on the messages of various queer spiritual leaders in many different faiths. There will be an online platform for community connection. Like I said, classes and workshops, pop-up experiences, community care, spaces for queer joy, for full self-expression, for ritual, for spiritual practice. So as I'm in the beginning stages of this focus ministry, a group of us had our first visioning this week. And Queer Spirit Collective is the working title. The goal will be that that will be a fully formed nonprofit affiliated with CSL in April, and should launch sometime this spring. And so, what does this mean for Ahava? Well, Bob already said it. I will be giving my full attention to this new ministry in order to live in integrity with my values and my heart and my passion and the call and spirit and where the universe is guiding me, so that my energy and talents can be fully expressed and loved and valued and appreciated to the community that is seeking what I have to offer. And if this is something that is resonating with you, I invite you to follow me on Substack. Find me. I'll be placing it. Most of you already know I'm on social media. Queer Spirit Collective will be coming alive soon, and you can stay engaged. We're not going to be doing Sunday morning gatherings, so you can be here with Ahava and then come hang out with what we're creating too. It's a both and. So I just appreciate so much the 6.5 years of growth that I have had by being your spiritual director. My commitment is always to the revelation of spirit in my life in each moment. And I hope that for each of you, and I hope that my ministry has and will continue to be an expression of that and an opportunity to invite you into your fullness of being. And if something feels off in your life, listen to spirit. Something new is perhaps seeking to emerge so that you can fully be expressed. So sorry, I can't ever stop teaching and preaching. But next week you'll get me one more time. And I don't know, I'll be probably talking about change and self-love and resilience in these times. Who knows? But come be with me next Sunday, and I'd love to give you a big old hug. Um, I think I'm complete for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Rainbow.
Love all the hearts coming. Yes.
Yes, keep them coming. Mm. So my heart is full. It's a crazy mix of sadness and joy for you and for all of us, because this community is about to explode with I love what you said about a both and. This is a both and. This is not an either or. And there is a way for this community to find whole new ground. By this community, I mean Ahava, in finding its place in bringing forward life at its best. So I invite you all to join me in a closing treatment. Then we'll go ahead and wrap up the celebration today, and we'll finish with opening the floor just for discussion, which will be after we have done the benediction and closed out. So here's what I know. I know we stand at the crossroads between past and future, opening ourselves up to a greater new version of the vision of Ahava, version of the vision of Reverend Rainbow's ministry, a greater version of the vision of all of us as we live in a time of great change. Who we were yesterday simply doesn't work anymore. So I open my heart and mind to recognize that what does work and who I am and what I bring into the world as me, both in my work, in my participation here in this community and my participation out of the world. I don't stop being who I am. So I go forward into the world knowing that life, spirit, God, whatever name you want to put on it, is supporting my full expression of who I am and what matters to be. And I do that with ease. I do that with simplicity. It just pops out of my mouth and my experience and my expressions. And in so doing, it opens and welcomes others to recognize the godling within them and the truth of who they are. We do this with such love and appreciation for every step of the way. So it is with this great gratitude that I can release this treatment now, knowing we go forward as individuated expressions of an infinite God, an infinite truth in the world. And that is done with the backing of the same power that builds universes, the same power that created all of this. So I have nothing to fear. And I release any nonsense of fear that is trying to push its way into my truth. Knowing that with ease, grace, great gratitude for every person here, for everyone who's ever been a part of or contributed in any way